The Science of Learning Research Center presents Psychology, Education, Neuroscience, PEN. PEN Principal number 12. Pre-activate strategies to guide learning.
Let's open this video with a quick game. I'm going to ask you a series of questions and I want you to answer out loud as quickly as you can. Are you ready? What color is a white house? What color is a blue house? What color is a green house? If you answered green to that last question, you're not alone. What you just experienced was an example of priming.
Priming is an occurrence whereby exposure to a set of stimuli or experiences non-consciously influences current behaviors and/or performances. In this instance, after answering white and blue to the first two questions, you were primed to answer green to the third. But why does this happen? To understand, let's take a look at the brain. When an individual is first presented with a stimulus, he or she must determine how to respond to it. And this is reflected in increased neural activity in frontal and deep brain networks. Interestingly, once an individual determines his or her response, global neural activity decreases and stays low, even when new stimuli are presented. This sustained decrease in activity suggests that once an individual settles on an effective response strategy, he or she will maintain that strategy until a large enough discrepancy occurs to necessitate a strategy shift.
And this is exactly what happened in our game. After correctly answering the first two questions, white and blue, you likely adopted the strategy, simply say the color word that's in the question. And this is the strategy you carried over to question 3, leading you to likely answer green, when in actuality most greenhouses are made of glass and therefore are colorless. Of importance, this type of strategy priming has been shown to occur in the classroom as well.
For instance, before a history lesson, several students were asked to play a rote memorization game, whilst several other students were asked to play a compare and contrast game. Interestingly, the students who played the memorization game demonstrated enhanced memory for specific lesson content, while the students who played the compare and contrast game demonstrated enhanced critical evaluation of larger lesson themes. This suggests that the pre-lesson activity actually primed the strategy that the students took into the lesson and influenced how they chose to approach, interpret, and remember lesson content. Similarly, students asked to interact with Venn diagrams before a lesson later interpreted lesson content in a more comparative, inferential manner, while students asked to interact with stepwise flowcharts before the same lesson later interpreted the lesson content in a more cause and effect, procedural manner.
Classroom application.
So we've seen that some learning strategies can be pre-activated to guide how students interpret and understand lesson content. So how can we use this in the classroom?
One idea is to first determine how you desire the content of a specific lesson to be interpreted. Then, prior to the lesson, allow students to undertake activities that utilize a similar interpretive strategy. For instance, if you want students to thematically compare different lesson concepts, then it's possible an activity whereby students are asked to generate analogies or metaphors may actually help facilitate this outcome. Also, it's important to remember that content presented to students during class warm-ups will activate strategies that may influence how they comprehend novel material. For instance, if a warm-up explores rote facts, students might interpret later material in a manner that highlights the importance of individual details. As such, make sure any reviewed material is relevant to the upcoming lesson and presented in a manner consistent with the currently desired learning strategies.
Ideas and future directions.
When considering the priming of learning strategies, some very important questions arise. For instance, can all learning strategies be primed, or only some? And what types of activities prime which types of learning strategies? And can these activities be meaningfully adapted for classroom use? Some important questions worth getting to the bottom of if the full potential of classroom priming is ever to be realized. On behalf of everyone here at the Science of Learning Research Center, thanks for watching.